my name is Tijana Coso. Welcome. We're super excited to have you here to practice a new stress relief technique, or maybe it's new to you, called tapping, emotional freedom technique. Before we get started, we'd like to take a second just to find out where people are joining us from. So if you want to jump in the chat and do two things for me, tell us where you're from and if you've tried tapping before or if you're familiar with it. And I'm going to open up my chat right now. Where are you from? Welcome. Larry's from Alberta. Toronto, Hartville, Ohio. Shelley. Virginia, new to this, excited, welcome. Missouri. San Francisco. All right, I want to come visit all of you. East Coast, Canada, welcome everybody. Ottawa, Canada. I can talk Canadian. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna lower this. My name is Tijana Coso. And if I ever get to meet you, you can call me T. I'm pulling up my notes so we can get started right away. Emotional freedom technique. By the way, you can post something in the chat and Laura will interrupt me if necessary. But at the very beginning, I said to those of you who are new, grab a glass of water because we need to be hydrated. So if you're looking for stress relief, quick and easy, Larry says easy peasy. You're gonna learn this technique right now to get rid of some of that intrusive ruminating thoughts that keep going on in your mind. So, emotional freedom technique, what is it? Emotional freedom. All right, I'm gonna read the definition that I have written down. Emotional freedom technique, also called tapping, or some people call it EFT, because we tap on specific acupuncture meridian points to relieve stress and anxiety so that you can come back in your body, say body presence. Because if you're in the here and now, you're not time traveling to the forward. You're not having interactions with a person worried about the future. You're interacting with them right here, right now. And you're reacting with I like to say responding with a clear mind. So EFT is like a form of grounding. Now, there's something called clinical EFT, and that's what clinicians use. And they use it it's an evidence-based technique that started, I think 25, 30 years ago. And it's a self-regulation technique. They used it a lot for trauma and anxiety. But it's become very popular because it's easy. Can you do this? All right. So it's become very popular. And I think in its effectiveness has made it more and more user-friendly. So it has moved out of the therapy realm and into the general wellness area. So people do that. I mean, I guess you can go on TV and see movies where people are tapping. So it's more and more common, but it's what we're going to do here today is not clinical EFT, because we're not doing this for therapy. I'm teaching a course, we'll go over that at the end, a workshop where you can use it for therapy or if you just want a deeper dive. But right now, we're just learning how to ground ourselves to bring you back into your body presence so that you can be in the here now and focus on what's going on around you instead of worrying about what happened or what's going to happen. How does that sound? So what we're trying to do here with emotional freedom technique is to ground you so that you build this capacity of being in the present moment and you have expanded awareness. Because when you have any sort of anxiety, I like to say it blocks your thinking and panic, and I'm not talking full-blown panic. I'm just talking about things you have going on. Sometimes you have too many things going on and it blocks your clarity. I like to think about it this way. You're holding your first beach ball down and that's your child's illness. Then you're holding your other beach ball down and that's your partner's addiction. And then you have to hold this beach ball down because that's your mother's knee replacement. And you have to hold this beach ball down because you have to get all the stuff for your child for school. And then you have to hold this beach ball down for something else. Whose beach ball did we not hold down? I didn't even mention us because we don't have time to take care of ourselves. We're taking care of everybody else. So that's where EFT can come. We're going to like let go of these beach balls, release, so that we can take care of what we need to take care of and to take care of ourselves at the same time. So we can interact from a place of, I like to say it's an optimal place. So we're going to jump back in the chat and let's grab a glass of water. In the chat, what I want you to do is I want you to post, what do you want emotion, two things. Ready? You're going to answer two questions. What do you want freedom from? Emotional freedom. And when you think about that thing that you don't want to think about, maybe I'll break it down to two questions. Let's just address the first one now. What do you want emotional freedom from? What's that little thing that keeps pecking at your head every day? Post it in the chat. Is it a relationship with somebody? Could be something even good, like let's say you're moving. Oh, I'm so excited we're moving. And then all those little chatters go on. Post in the chat. What do you want emotional freedom from? Is it a medical problem? Is it just overwhelm? Let's check the chat and see what's causing stress in our lives that we're like, it's enough. I want to get over this. Oh, boy, that was a good one. Imposter syndrome. Oh my goodness. Do you know, Katie, that I read a study that said 70% of all psychologists have imposter syndrome. So you're along with that. So how would you tap on it is you're going to find out. I'll bring that up. Okay. Emotional freedom from feeling responsible for others over yourself. Oh yeah. We got to take care of everybody else, work on all those beach balls, our health and our anxiety, stress, overwhelm, finances, distorted thinking, distractions, partner problems, not doing enough. Well, that's because whoever wrote we're not doing enough, it's because we aren't enough, right? We're never enough. And that's something we need to tap on too. It's the stories we're telling ourselves. So now, this is the thing. Tapping is a body technique. And if you are on this website, you know what Bessel and the Trauma Research Foundation supports is using a body modality for grounding, right? So I want all of us to, whatever you listed in your chat, and several of you didn't list anything, for this to really work, I keep closing my eyes because I'm trying to go into my body. For this to really work, and it does work, I've done this now this will be my 4th week where we just do like a 30-minute session and we get good results. I want you to think about that thing, close your eyes, unless you're driving. And I want you to think about that thing that you don't want to think about. You know that thing that's kind of gnawing at you? It's causing some anxiety in you. Where do you feel it? Go to that place in your body, if it's safe. Where's that sensation? Take it from your mind to your body. When you think about it, is it in your stomach, your chest, your shoulders? Can we post that in the chat? Where did you feel it in your body? Try to leave the mind and think about it in your body. What body sensation? Shoulders, stomach, jaw, head, chest, head. Tightness in the upper back. Heart, throat, neck. Okay. Typically, I feel it in the stomach. So if I forgot something important, I mean like my mother's birthday present or something like that. Like, oh shoot, I was supposed to send my mother flowers or something like that. I feel that right in my stomach. So that's what I want you to think about throughout the day when those things come up, that you're like, oh, I have to do that, or just a little pause. Those body parts, that's where we're going to tap on. We're going to actually mention them in our tapping sequence. Okay. So for all of you who've shared, thank you for sharing. We're going to go back in now, learn a little bit about EFT, and then we're going to start tapping. So emotional freedom technique, it's a way for you to ground. We're trying to build capacity for you to be in the present moment, because when you're holding all this beach balls down and about 1,000 other things, you don't have the capacity for more things. You're not present. You're not present for those. You're missing those things, right? Or the choices you're making aren't clear because you're holding so many things down. And I don't know what country you're joining us from, but typically in our country, when we hold those things down and we have a problem with somebody, we hold it down and we do it with a smile. Oh, sure, it's fine. I'll do that. You want to shoot yourself and say, oh my gosh, not again, right? So we do it with a smile in our country. That just makes us sicker. Martha Beck has a wonderful quote. Listen to this quote. I say this for all of you. So we avoid suffering. It says she has avoid suffering at the very top of our life to-do list. We avoid suffering and it's at the top of our to-do list. So how are you avoiding suffering? Thinking about those things, you're distracting yourself. You're trying to, you might go on Facebook. You might be eating. You might have an addiction. You might be serving a bunch of people. As long as I'm out there serving everybody, I don't have to look at the fact that this is going on in my life and I don't want to admit it, right? So a lot of times we want to stay in anxiety so that we don't have to land. Emotional freedom technique will help you to land in your body, but also feel calm. So it's these two messages. I can feel this feeling, and I have a message that says calm down, because that's what tapping does. It helps you calm down by tapping on these acupuncture meridian points to lower the stress in our body so that we can think clearly. Some people call these points pressure points, or you can call them acupuncture meridian points. All right. Now, what do you do? How do you calm yourself down? I like to say we're pressing pause. I have a project I call the tapping project, and I have the tapping project for working with addicts, and I have the tapping project for working with students. And this one I'm sharing with you is the tapping project just for the general public, how you will use emotional freedom technique to help you press pause so that you can think clearly. I created this shortened version of EFT. This is clinical. These are the points on clinical EFT. I'm not going to go over those, but these are the points on clinical. When I was working with the addicts and the children and the women who were victims of domestic violence, this was way too much. So I simplified it for them and I turned it into something called functional EFT, where we're just picking 2 points. And then when I started doing that, I thought, well, why am I making it complicated for the social workers and caseworkers I work with? So now I've also converted that for my other trainings and the foster parents. The longer sessions where you want to learn more clinical EFT, you need to join like a workshop like I'm having here in the fall on this website. So we want to function so that we can think clearly. So tapping is a way for you to press pause so that you can do what? Think clearly. Got it? All right. I usually make people repeat it when I'm doing keynote speaking. All right. So drink your water and we're going to start talking about tapping. I'm going to show you the points. I showed you the 9 points, some of the 8 points on clinical EFT. And now I'm going to show you the points that I use for functional EFT. These are acupuncture meridian points where you press on them and they create a calm. I decided to make it simple because, like I said, addicts, they just need to function right now. And I had to make it super simple for them. So I've picked 2 points and I call this functional EFT. It's my own brand and it helps you function. It's easy to take to schools and to children. So I picked 2 points. I picked these 2 points because I like them. I work with another person and they don't pick these 2 points. They pick this point and this point. You get to pick whatever points you want out of the 9 meridian tapping points that I can show you at the end, but I'm moving up closer to this. But I'm going to show you the 2 points I use. I use the side of the eye Where is it? It's where your smile lines are. What am I doing? I'm just tapping. Why are you tapping? I'm tapping to calm myself down, to press pause so that I can think clearly. That's one point. The other point I always use is it's called the collarbone. And there's a bone here, and right underneath it, there's a soft spot. There's no bone like right there. So you have a bone, it's right underneath it. Here's a tie. Here would be a tie, right? It's to the either side of the tie, and it's under the bone. So these are the 2 points we're going to tap on today for functional EFT. I'm just checking on the time. I'm going to show you one more point because I had a client who didn't like tapping right here because she had some arm surgery and it was too high from her. And she said it was easier for her to put her arm on the desk and tap right here. So one more point. It's right here under the eye. So what we're going to do is just now you know your points. I'm going to tell you more about it. We're going to tap, we're going to talk, and we're going to tell the truth. How many times do you tap? Which hand should I use? Should I use a finger? Should I use, Tiana, I saw you use 2 fingers. What should I do? And I need you to know that it's all good. Okay? Your body has no idea if you're using 2 fingers or palm. It's pressure on this sensitive point. That's what it is. So you can sit here like this and calmly put pressure on it. Nobody would know you're doing it. If you're sitting at a desk and you're in a meeting, you're like, help me. So that you can press it right there. The other point is which side of the body. It doesn't matter. This seems a little, like I do a cross body, but this seems a little complicated. Getting a good stretch in there. Whatever you want to do, it's all good. So if somebody asks a question about that, jump in the chat. They might have just joined this call, right? It's all good. All right. When you do functional EFT, you can start wherever you want. You can start down here and come up here. I always start here and then my arm gets tired and I drop it here. Clinical EFT, you'll see people starting up here. You'll see people starting here. Clinicians, you can start wherever you want to. You're working through these points. I'm not really sure. Okay, I'm not gonna move on with that topic, sorry. So you can pick whichever point you want. We're gonna use these 2 points that I showed you, this one or this one. And if you don't feel comfortable tapping here because you want to take your glasses off or something, you can go under the eye, okay? Let's see whichever hand. All right, so now we have to talk about telling the truth. Talk, tap, and tell the truth. What does that mean, Tiana? Well, tapping is to help you lower stress. And we have these things that come up in our life, right? And we're using tapping to calm us down. Well, what is it calming you down from? Something going on that is an emotion you don't like, and you need to tell the truth. So let's say you're you're angry with your partner because they're not working with you enough in some way. Your tapping would look like this. I'm tapping, I'm talking, and I'm telling the truth. I'm so angry with them. They're not helping. It's not fair. Sometimes I regret getting in this relationship. No, that's not true. I'm just frustrated right now. I'm just frustrated right now. You don't say that to the person. You tap by yourself. Okay? But you tell the truth. You don't say, oh, I'm sure he'll be fine or she'll be fine. It's just a bad day for them. You know, I call it the BS meter. Don't BS your body. If you're frustrated, just say it. It's a feeling. It's not a fact. Feelings are fluid. They come and go, right? One day you love your child. The next day you're very angry with your child. Sometimes you resent your child. Or same thing with the partner. Same thing with the job. So these are just feelings. And the more we try to suppress them, the sicker we get. I like to say the secrets will keep you sick. I'm not telling you to go tell everybody your problems. I'm saying you tap, you talk, and you tell the truth to yourself. Here, let's get a drink of water. Because when we release those thoughts, they no longer have control over us. Okay. It takes a lot of energy to keep holding down the truth. A lot of energy, and it's exhausting. But you're not just trying to hold the truth down with one thing about maybe you're frustrated with your partner. You're trying to hold the truth down that maybe you should have never taken this new job. And I wonder what's going to happen in the future. And I probably should have done that in the past. So these are all emotions that you're trying to hold down. They're like pecking at you like a bunch of ducks, right? You're getting pecked to death. And it's exhausting. So with tapping is you just let the beach ball go up. Whoa, there's that one. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have taken this job. Let it out. It is so freeing just to say it out loud because it's a secret. And the secrets will keep you sick. Okay? Just say it. Tap and let it go. And it works so much better when you do it privately than when you do it with anybody else. So I like to give the example. I'm just checking the time here. I like to give the example of when you're at work and you're frustrated with your partner at home and you just vent at work, right? You vent, you talk. If you just added tapping, you would be releasing it so much more. But when you talk at work and complain about what's going on at home, when you get home, what happens? It's kind of taking the edge off, and vice versa. So there is a piece of releasing this to calm you down. This is what tapping is going to look like. I'm going to say words, and you're going to repeat them, okay? And somebody asked how many minutes we tap. How much time do you have? We're tapping to release, okay? If you cut it too short, you'll know because that problem will come up again. So somebody asked how many minutes. It's not like stretching for 20 minutes or something like that. If I am having a problem, let's say with my mother-in-law, who was a wonderful woman, but she's coming to visit, every time we were talking about ruminating here, every time I think about her, I would tap. And I say, oh my gosh, she's coming. I can't do anything right. She's so opinionated. And her son is, next to God. I mean, he can't do anything wrong. I can't do anything right. How many times would I tap on that? If I had a problem with her, I would tap every time I thought about it so that I could stay calm, so I could be there for my children. Okay? Eventually, it would dissolve that energy around it, that charge. All right? What about scoring the discomfort before and after? That's for clinical. We're not scoring. We just need to feel better. Like everybody in here who mentioned how they felt. I guess you could score. You could go to my YouTubes and explains the scoring, what this person is like on a 1 to 10. How angry am I with my mother-in-law? And then tap and check in. But all of you just talked about your body part and the anxiety in your body. You're just trying to get a sensation, so it's a less than. Okay, we're not in therapy, so more like a grounding to get through it. Let's see what else. Yep, on a 1 to 10. Yep, that was what we're talking about. Thank you for the scoring. All right, so what does it feel like? What does tapping feel like? It's kind of awkward. Here we are. We're going to try to pull up this sensation. I don't know if it's going to work. But last time I did it, and all the times I've done it with you earlier, people cried. People felt tingly. People felt more anxiety, and then they felt a release. What else is normal? Yawning's normal. Okay, so what we're trying to do is we're going to go into the body part, and I want, at one point, I'm going to say, and I feel this anxiety in my body, and I'm going to take a pause. I want you to say, right in my chest, if you feel it in your chest. Feel it in your stomach, you're going to say, right in my stomach. We're talking to that body part, making a mind-body connection right to that body part, okay? So what tapping would look like is I'm going to say, let's say you came to me as a client and you said, my mother-in-law's coming to town, or I'm having a problem with my child and I'm so worried. And I would say, you would echo me and I'd say, I'm so worried with my child. And you would say, while tapping, I'm so worried with my child. And then I would say, I'm afraid for their safety. And then you would repeat it. I'm afraid for their safety. When you do it by yourself, you don't have anybody echoing. What did I do? I tapped, I talked, and I told the truth. Now, I did say that if you want to get a piece of paper, you always want to start with I feel, not start with it. You need to include I feel. It's not I think I'm worried about my child. It's like when I think of my child, I feel that fear right in my stomach. It's fear I feel. or it's anger I feel. So you're going to start with I feel, fill in the blank, okay? And then you're going to say because. I feel because. That's your tapping sequence. That's what you're going to say. Don't worry about the words. You can just, if you're sitting somewhere and you see your child over there doing something that's frightening, or, I was talking to a parent, their child was up in court for drug court. They didn't talk. They just were, there's this thing I have called public tapping. I'll show it to you. They didn't need to talk. Their body was scared to death. The child was going to go to jail. You don't need any words. Sometimes you can feel it. That's what we're trying to do, is get a feeling. I feel blank because. All right. The last thing is, if you feel kind of triggered, like you feel more anxiety, you can mute me out and just keep tapping. You're just going to basically be grounding yourself. Okay, so I'm going to get started in tapping. I'm going to take some of the things you talked about in the chat that's causing you anxiety, and I'm going to mention them in this chat. So what we're going to do is we're not trying to deny reality. By saying it out loud doesn't make it any more real. It's in there anyway, right? So we're just going to tap about it and not pretend it's not in there. And so I want all of you to close your eyes and think about that thing you don't want to think about. What is it that's bothering you? And it doesn't even have to be something bad. It could be, I have to buy a new car and I can't figure out what to do. Okay? Now, where do you feel that in your body? We're not posting in the chat. I want you to go to that place. And we're all going to start tapping. You can open your eyes for 1 second. We're all going to start tapping here. And it's called the side of the eye. When my hand gets tired, I'm going to drop it and say collarbone. And we're all going to tap right under the bone. If you want to stay here, stay here. It doesn't matter. These are just 2 points I picked. All right, let's start tapping at the side of the eye. Take a breath and just say out loud, I have this anxiety. And it's in my body. And I think about it all the time. And I don't want to think about it. I want to let it go. But it won't leave me. It just keeps recycling through my mind. This anxiety is just nagging at me. And when I think about this thing, I feel, what do you feel? Say it out loud. I feel angry. I feel sad. I feel anxious. Keep tapping. Finish this sentence. I have a fear. What's your fear? I have a fear that, say it again. Down deep, I have a fear. And I don't want to admit it. Say that, I don't want to admit it. I'm going to say it out loud. Because it's safe to release it. For just this little bit, I'm going to release it. Drop to the collarbone. I'm going to release this anxiety. I'm allowed to release this anxiety. It's safe to release this anxiety. Go back to the side of the eye, back up here. I'm allowed to release this anxiety. I'm going to admit what's bothering me. Because my life deserves attention. Take a breath and say, I deserve attention. Go to the collarbone again. I'm allowed to release this. I'm still a good person. I choose to release this anxiety now. I choose to be calm and peaceful. I choose to release this, my shoulders. Where do you feel your anxiety? Say, I release this from my stomach. I release this from my chest. I release all of this anxiety because I deserve to take care of me. I'm allowed to pick me. I am okay. I'm safe. And I release all of this right now. Take a deep breath. Roll your shoulders. So if you want to post in the chat if you felt something, because it's not going to change out there if we don't change what's in here. Somebody felt calm and rested, intense relaxation, tired. Yeah, you will feel tired. Emotional relief is things we don't even want to go to. Yes, very opening. Felt calm. It was helpful. Somebody felt something in the base of their throat. Somebody said, I'll read it. I'll read that question at the end. My body does feel a little bit more calm. So if you didn't feel anything, try this again because it is, it's difficult to feel something with everybody here, right? It is difficult. You're tapping to calm yourself down so you can deal with life's problems so they can be seen through a clear lens. All right. I'm going to show you a couple more things. My website, well, I have two. The tapping project is down right now, but eventually that's when you want to go to. You can go to www.cosoconsulting.com, and I have some documents for you there. But also, there's something called, I think I have some documents on trauma if you want to use those. But there's something called public tapping, because if you're working with a coworker and you have major conflict with them, I think they would kind of notice if you're tapping while you're talking to them. So what can you do to be grounded in the present moment right then and there so you have clear mind and clear thinking, okay? And you're looking through the situation through a clear lens. There's something called there's a tapping that you use for trauma, okay? Therapists use for trauma. And I'm taking part of that technique and I've incorporated it into something that I call public tapping. I just call it public tapping, but it's more like public pressing. So I'm going to show you this point on your hand. So there's a trauma relief technique for PTSD that they use, and they use this point here. But we're going to use this for public tapping. Now watch, I put my hands on it. I'm not tapping. I take my hands. If you looked at any of my videos where I'm training or keynote speaking, I have my hands like this and I'm pressing. And I drop them to my lap like this and I'm pressing. So that I can have clear thoughts, right? And have a clear mind. And I'm in awareness right here. Children can do this at school. Teenagers, this is what I teach them, okay? There's also one where you could pinch your fingers. And if you go to my YouTube, I think it's called Public Tapping Tijana Coso, you'll see me where I go over the ones on the fingers, all right? So these are adaptions I've taken to make it easily to incorporate when you're in a conflict situation. So you can be clear of mind wherever you need to go. The other thing is, if you watch this video back in, I moved from several points without you knowing it. I'm hoping your eyes were closed, because so interesting. When I was tapping up here, I've never felt such a sensation roaming through my body. So when I dropped here, I didn't feel it as much, and I've never noticed it like this before. So I actually liked it. So I went back to this tapping. So if you watch the video, you'll see me jostling between these two, but hopefully you kept your eyes closed. So that's why I did it, because when I dropped down here, the sensation disappeared, which I've never had happen. So I can ground myself quickly now with tapping like that. So a couple things wrap up. Public tapping. Okay. Number 2 is, I have a gift for everybody. And if you are on this session, we have your email. I'm going to do a free follow-up phone call, maybe in a week. You'll get an email, and it'll probably be 4 o'clock. And what we're going to do is, we're all just going to probably do a phone call where you're going to ask me questions. Hey, it worked this way. Hey, it didn't work that way. This is really only for follow-up for you. Okay. Because the confused mind says no. And you sat through this. I want you to use it. Okay. So that will come in an email to you. Let's see what else.
Mind sharing your email, Tijana?
Yeah. Info@Coso Consulting. Info@Coso Consulting. All right. And then the last thing is, I have a workshop coming up on the fall that I will be training on clinical EFT. But for those of you who just did this for, it felt good, you liked it, you can join that too. That'll be, whoever was in this tapping will automatically get an invitation to that training in the fall. Okay. It'll be good for everyone. People who don't do clinical or who do, because I always start with functional first. So, and now I think I have to wrap it up. So I want to thank everybody for joining us. And the last piece I forgot to give you is a wonderful quote. And I want to see if you know who it's from. I love this quote. As long as you keep secrets and suppress information, you are fundamentally at war with yourself. The critical issue is allowing yourself to know what you know. And that takes an enormous amount of courage. That is a phenomenal quote, and it's exactly what we do in tapping. So that was from Bessel van der Kolk in his book, The Body Keeps the Score. And I think I would like to include that in the maybe the last document. I'm going to read it one more time. As long as you keep secrets and suppress information, you are fundamentally at war with yourself. The critical issue is allowing yourself to know what you know while tapping. He didn't put that in there. That takes an enormous amount of courage. And with tapping, if you tap and admit it, there's this safety that comes around you, so that you, when you have the courage to tap and you're being vulnerable and you're admitting it, you can also calm yourself. So that's all I want to do. Thank you so much, and check back at the other videos.